Happy Wednesday! Last week's video was super fun, but like, I am so happy to just be sitting down in front of my bookshelf and filming a book haul. Which, by the way, if you didn't watch my video from last week, I highly recommend you do. Because it was fun. I don't know, like, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but like, I don't know. So today, I'm filming my May book haul, which is all of the books that I got in May, which is too many. It's too many. I don't want to have to lift up all of these books all over again because I already did that for the thumbnail and my arms are made of noodles and I can't do that again. So the first three I got were Chibi Vampire, volumes 1, 2, and 9. You know, the essentials of any series. This is a manga that I read in like 2006, maybe 2007? I don't remember. Somewhere in there. I was never really into the vampire thing, but this is kind of like a parody of it, sort of. It's about this girl, Karen, and she's from a family of vampires. And she's a vampire too, but she has this weird condition where instead of drinking blood, her body produces too much of it, so she has to inject it. And if she doesn't, it explodes out of her nose in a huge nosebleed. And I remember my friends would always joke that I'm Karen because I used to get killer nosebleeds. And the next two I got are a couple more nostalgic books. Books 2 and 3 of the Land of Elion trilogy, which I was super into when I was in like 4th grade. So I really wanted to read the other two because I mentioned the first one in a couple videos from last month. So yeah. I just wanted to get the other two. The next book that I got is The Math Gene by Keith Devlin. That's his name, right? Yeah, Keith Devlin. So the title of this book is really what drew me into it because I'm really fascinated by the sort of meta discussion there is to be had around math. Like, I'm really not good at math. And this book I think is supposed to explore why some people are good at math and why some people aren't. But I've always been super interested in like the whole like did we invent it or did we discover it kind of question there is about math. Because when I was in high school I was like, well, we're using like letters from our languages that we invented. Like we made up math, like we made it up, right? But then like the more you learn about it, the more difficult it is to say. I feel like math, when it's first being pitched to us as children, isn't really sold that well. Like, you know how when you're in math class and someone inevitably raises their hand and is like, when are we gonna use this? And the teacher says something along the lines of like, it's the basics of what you'll need if you go into engineering. But like, I feel like that's not the right answer because there's the inevitable, well, I'm not going into engineering response that you're gonna get. It kind of writes math off as something that might not apply to you and tamps down like any possibility of there being some sort of wonder struck with you or any kind of interest that you might find spring up with you about math because you've been told now that it's not relevant to you. Because math is like this international language that we use to describe the universe, and as far as we know, it does a pretty good job of doing that. And anything that you're learning in a math class is something that can be built upon to figure out and explain some of the mysteries of the universe, which is crazy. But you're never told that as a kid, and I don't understand why. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but I did. Next book. The next couple books I got were just 2 more from Lisa Randall because I'm currently reading Warped Passages by her and I really like it. I wanted to get this one because the one that I'm currently reading only mentions the Higgs in like a theoretical context because it hadn't been discovered yet, and so this is all about the Higgs discovery, clearly. And this one's really cool. Well, it sounds really cool. I can't really vouch for whether or not it's cool, but it's probably cool. It's about how there's a theory or a possibility that dark matter somewhere out in the universe could have influenced the asteroid that came and wiped out the dinosaurs. I just thought that was cool. That's like the kind of big picture, sort of everything's connected kind of thing that I think is really cool to read about. So yeah, it sounded interesting, so I think we're about halfway through. The next book I got was Most Wanted Particle by John Butterworth, and again, I just wanted to read more about the Higgs particle. That's it. The next book I got was Spook by Mother Mary Roach. My mom, Mary Roach, is like a journalist, kind of, where she writes these books about these very specific subjects, and they're all really cool and they're all to do with science. I love scientific explanations for like the afterlife. Like I think I read a couple years ago that there was some kind of energy found that like hovers above grave sites. And I thought that was so wild. I don't remember where I read that. That could have been complete bullshit. Like, so I don't know if that's touched upon in this, but I'm really excited to read this. The next book that I got is Ghostland by Colin Dickey, and I'm not sure if he himself is a member of the Order of the Good Death, but I think I saw like the Death Salon tweeting about this book and I really wanted to grab it for a while now, so I just did. It's not like a book about ghosts. Like the first line of the back is, "Good news, nothing's really haunted except by the spirits we imagine for ourselves." So this isn't like a ghosts are real book. It's more him exploring haunted places and the history behind them and the historical context to all these ghost stories from all of these places. And then completely out of left field, we have They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. So I wasn't gonna get this, but everyone kept talking about it. And I mean, like, I love a good tragedy. So if they don't both die at the end, oh, I'm gonna be mad. Next book that I got is Chasing Hubble's Shadows by Jeff Knipe. So this is an older book, it's from like 2006, but I wanted to read about Hubble because I know that they're working on like the James Webb and that keeps getting pushed back, but I'm super intrigued and excited about the James Webb Telescope, and so I wanted to read more about Hubble because I've never actually read about Hubble. So, you know, this is just me catching up, basically. The next book that I got is A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, because I've never read a Stephen Hawking book, which I kind of can't believe. And I'm pretty sure this one is just like the quintessential book on cosmology. Like if you want to read about cosmology, you ought to read this. And the last book that I got is 37th Parallel by Ben Mesrick. And so what this book is it's about all of the like alien activity that's happened along the 37th parallel across the United States. And I don't know if it's a global thing or if it's just over the United States. Ben Mesrick went around interviewing people, collecting like government documents, and it just sounds really cool. Like, I saw it and I was like, I gotta. And for my June TBR, I don't really like to set like a huge TBR for myself every month, but I do like to say like 2 books that I really want to get to that month. So since it's Pride Month, I really want to try and get to They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. And the other book that I really want to read is something that I've been wanting to read for forever now, and that's Stone Butch Blues by Leslie Feinberg. I think it's supposed to be partially autobiographical, and what it seems to be is a sort of meditation on this character and the lesbian like relationship with gender, because it's always historically been very nuanced, just because of how alienating being a lesbian can be from traditional womanhood. And Leslie Feinberg was an individual who kind of tiptoed the line between butch lesbian and trans man, and they grew up in like the 50s and 60s, and so it would be interesting to hear essentially a first-hand account of what that would have looked like and what that would have been like. So yeah, and if you want to read this, I highly recommend you check it out. The PDF is free on lesliefeinberg.com, I think that's the website. I'll have it linked down below, but it's like completely free. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say. Those are all the books that I'm talking about today. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you have a good day.